our weekly meeting. We have a pretty good lineup going on today. Uh, Before I get into the meat of what we're going to be talking about, I'll recognize we have a visiting Rotarian or Betsy too. First is Mr. Martin Marianas from the Rotary Club of Quezon City. He's in Dusic quarantine right now, so let's all feel sorry for him together. Um, Martin, if you have a chance, can you please give us a little bit of info on your club and kind of what projects you're working on right now?
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, thanks for inviting me here. My line might be on and off because our internet here is weak. So anyway, I'm from Rotary Club of Holy Spirit, that's located in Quezon City. We're in District 3780, so the whole of Quezon City in the Philippines. So in our barangay, we have about, we call it barangay, we are about 110,000 population. So that's my area. And well, right now, since it's pandemic, we can still do some project like, we support some volunteers by providing PPEs like, suit, sanitary, face mask, face shield. And we have this project, we call it Techno Aid. We help students who, since it's in the Philippines, in Manila, it's all online class. I think even it's here. So there's a lot of students from grade school to first to second year college who cannot enroll because they don't have a gadget, a laptop, or even a tablet. So that's one of our project in my area. So we solicit, we look for donors for the used laptop and provide them one. And also we try to accomplish the 7 area of focus even it's pandemic in the Philippines. So yeah, recently we also launched the polio campaign in the Philippines. We did some motorcade, and we do some bloodletting also. That's one of our projects in the Philippines in my area, and but we still follow the safety measure of the government. Few people's distance and safety gadgets. Yeah, that's our projects in the Philippines, in my area.
Cool.
Yes, Bill?
Cool. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
And, so I know you're in quarantine. So what does somebody have to do to get to the Philippines? Are they stuck in quarantine, or you just got to have a Philippine passport to get in?
What do you mean, going to the Philippines?
Yeah, going to the Philippines. Is there a quarantine, or is there like you have to be a Philippine passport holder?
There's also quarantine, and I think foreigner, yes, can still go in, but they have to pass the quarantine also. The same thing in the hotel, but the difference there, you have to pay your own hotel.
Oh, yeah. No, we're paying for the bills at nice hotels here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to Guam. I'm sorry you're stuck there.
It's okay. Actually, I'm a resident in Guam, but I work and have a business in the Philippines. So I stay more in the Philippines, and I'm a member of Rotary since 2017, and we are 28 members in our club, and it was chartered 2009. I'm sorry, 2005. It was chartered 2005.
Well, great having you. And you're welcome at any of our meetings. I'll copy you in the Zoom links if you're going to be on.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bill. And
so we also have another visiting Rotarian, Mr. Joe Rios from the Northern Club of Guam. Welcome, Joe. I know you're always kind of half spying on our meetings anyway.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. I know you're always in the background of our meetings, but this time you actually have your camera on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Couple of topics. Next, maybe Joe can help me out with that. Next week or October 24th, something like that, is 100 years of our district in Tokyo. So they're
100
supposed
years
to do some. Is it? Sorry, Joe.
Japan.
Yeah, Japan. There you go. 100 years Rotary in Japan. So I guess they're supposed to do some grand events, but that's got postponed till March and maybe farther. So if anything comes up and if you guys want to participate, we'll let you know. But right now we just know that there's an anniversary going on, and all celebrations will hold until further notice, basically. Also, as you can see in my background, we're still doing our 5K, 10K in 2 weeks. So if you are willing to sign up, please go ahead and sign up. Pass the word around. It happens from October 31st to November 1st. So far, I know a family in California has signed up to run, family of 4, and the Saipan Club looks like they're gonna get some participants, so they're gonna run in Saipan. If you're gonna sign up, go to our website. It's down here on the bottom of the picture, rotaryclubofguam.org. You click on events, and it'll direct you to the page to sign up and just use your PayPal. Also, we're going to do some, we mentioned it last week and on the group chats, but we are doing our turkey drive. Every year we donate turkeys and turkey dinners to various organizations and families. So if you are willing to participate, it's $100, and that comes with turkey and fixings. So it feeds like a family of 8 to 10 people. The amount I've seen, it comes in like a big Home Depot box. So it's a pretty good amount. So this year we're putting some feelers out and then seeing what organization is doing what. And from there we'll make a decision on where turkeys go. Fortunately, we have somebody that we can just talk to directly, Captain Rudd over from Salvation Army, our fellow Rotarian. Would you like to spend a minute or two talking about what Salvation Army will be doing this year?
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I understand that traditionally we've done it down at Tomorrow Village, and we serve about 1,300 folks, mostly marginalized folks, but anyone's welcome. This year, with all of the challenges that we're having, with many of the hotels being furloughed and all of that, we may have to pare our numbers back a little bit, but we're still planning on having a hot meal. We're not going to do it in a congregated event, but what we're planning is doing it Balutan style, and we'll deliver those to several of the mayor's offices just so it's easier to go and distribute without spreading COVID worse than we already have. Right now, we're just looking for anyone that wants to donate, whether it's in-kind gifts or monetary gifts. I understand that there's so many people that have need this year. But if we considered helping us out, that'd be great. But I know that there's many people that need help. So we're going to do our thing on Thanksgiving, whether we have a ton of people or not, but we're going to be out there helping as many people as we can.
Cool, thanks. And keep us updated on what you guys are planning, or if anything changes, and we'll see how we can help you guys out.
Thank you so much.
All right. There's nothing else on the agenda. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Director of Department of Labor, Mr. Dave Dell'Isola. You'll be giving us the rundown on what is going on over there. Director, please.
Thank you. I was just asked on Tuesday by Phil to be your guest speaker, so I think I was number 15 on your list of speakers. So I was happy to be included on that list somewhere. But yes, when it always comes to talking, you know me, I love a mic. So I'll be glad to just fly through a lot of information. Hopefully it will not be too boring. He said I only had 2 hours, so I'll try to keep it within that time limit. So as you probably read in the newspapers, we are releasing another $13.9 million to the public and hopefully they will entertain your businesses and get it out. That gives a grand total of over $390 million contributing from PUA to the economy. And of that, 32 million is in taxes to help us out and pay my salary. So I thank you for that. And just to kind of give you some sense of where we're all at, we've totaled about 35,000 claims paid, and this is coming and going. And that's a lot of claims for this island that qualified for PUA. And on average, we do about 15 to 20,000 claims paid every time we batch. So as you said, it goes up and down. And I know I'm going at this quickly because I know I only have 15 minutes. So I don't want to bore you by having long pauses.
No rush.
I know. I used to be a Rotarian. So don't worry. I used to be a Rotarian. 15 minutes is where I start to lose them. So I know about this. So, you know, the employers that have registered, I think that we've captured about 60% of all employers on this island at about 1,672, with about over 30,000 employee separation notices put in. I encourage you, if you haven't, to put in all those employees that you have and to register them. It is a big help, and especially when it comes to the fraud. I know I've been sounding like a broken record on the air with fraud, but that was something that I just did not plan or budgeted for or foresee, and that's something that we continue to get slammed big time. We get about 90% fraud on a daily basis with the claims, and I did this this morning, and I just want to share with you. I picked a random day. This was August 5th. And August 5th, we had a total of 494 claims filed. And out of those 494, 404 were DQ'd because of fraud. 32 were legitimate claims with issues, and 18 claims were payable. And this is just to give you an idea. And I'll start where you see the yellows and the oranges, those were good claims. This is everything that is fraud. And I'll just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Wait, that was my name on there, I think.
Yes, you're in the red. But that's 494 claims. I mean, 454 claims, and you can see the fraud that we're dealing with.
How much is on island or off island fraud? Off island people.
Most of it is off island.
Oh.
But I do want to tell you, Paul wasn't too far off. Out of the fraud, we experienced how much? 30% are identity theft.
Yeah.
And that 30% is made up of island politicians, island executives. And Paul, I had counterparts of your same level who we've called and said, did you know that you're filing for PUA? And they had no idea that their identities have been stolen. And, you know, all those breaches, whether they were Experians or the Equifax or the Yahoos that you read about, millions and millions of names being stolen, it's happening here. And that's what makes it so tough to know that, I mean, I've had lieutenant governors, I've had former AGs, I've had prominent business executives that we were able to see that I knew that weren't filing, that were included on this list. And we are working with the federal counterparts, and whether it's DHS, FBI, or our OIG, they're all interested in our data and our data mining it for organized crime. And we are working with the Guam Marianas Regional Fusion Center. And they will be releasing in the next week or so a information bulletin about the fraud that's happening, not only with my program, but it is in record numbers coming in, whether it be the lottery scam. They have a, what else? They have lottery scam. They have a Social Security scam going out there now that, you know, your number has been used in a crime and you need to pay us in order to help clean it out. And counterfeit bills are going through. So fraud and scams are a record number here on the island. And it's not just on my program. And we continue to use a lot of resources to clean these, clean this and to pay it out. And that's why right now we're only up to August 23 as far as clean claims paid. And we continue every day, as you see that list, the DQ each day, scrub it and move it for payment for the next round. So,
Dave, can I ask a question? So the fraud, how do we even get on the radar of these, if it's organized or these hackers, whatever they are? Is it because of the software that we're using and they know where this software is being rolled out nationwide, or how, I mean, Guam, typically we're not, right, the nexus for this kind of stuff.
This fraud, and that's a good question. We have our cloud base. It's a nationwide recognized company, and they have a lot of security measures. And when I say fraud, they are brute force attacking it by coming in and hitting thousands of claims in a matter of an hour, and you know, made up of retro payments, you know, for initial claims of paying $16,000 or more. But most of this stuff is just the nature of the PUA program. It's not a vulnerability of our software. It's not a vulnerability of Guam or your businesses. It's basically them using local information and filing a claim and getting it successfully entered, and then putting in weekly claims for payment. And that's just happening nationwide. And we're talking in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And this is being flagged and is the hot topic now with USDOL and the OIG, the Office of Inspector General. And it is being clamped down. Several states have had to stop paying PUA because of the massive fraud that they've paid. I think we've been very diligent and lucky because of our size that we're, as you saw in that on that Excel sheet, that we're catching a lot before it gets paid. And that's through, we have several really good fraud measures that are customized for Guam. And we are just rolling up our sleeves and having a team of people cleaning each of those days and going through those claims. Now, we used to do 10% sampling at the very beginning. Now we're doing 100% because it's just gotten that bad. And we have to do it because every week they're just zeroing in with localized information, and it's getting harder and harder to detect the fraud. But, you know, we continue to be diligent and we continue to get the money out. So other than the, you know, my program, we are getting ready and programming the Lost Wage Act, the Trump program, of which I'm sure you heard that we got $22.6 million to fund the first 3 weeks. The governor last 2 weeks ago told me to step it up and to get that program out and rolling. I was hoping that, you know, the House and the Senate were going to come up with a second package, but that doesn't look likely. So she told me to move forward rapidly and to do as much safeguarding of the fraud. And I'm happy to tell you that she went ahead and moved forward with the funding for weeks 4, 5, and 6. And together we submitted the plan, and just 20 minutes ago, I got an email from FEMA saying that they're going to grant the governor's request for weeks 4, 5, and 6, and that'll be another 22 million. So that'll be a total of 45-6 million potential dollars going back into the economy. And that's another third program that we're moving forward with on us. So stay tuned for more information on that as this develops. But I'm happy to tell you that we just continue to pump out dollars to you guys, to the economy. So as an employer, there's not a lot you can do, Paul, and I know, circling back to your question, other than register those people at Higher Guam, because those fraud are being flagged if they're not being also registered on Higher Guam. But that's not everybody. Not everybody is following the EO, and we don't have time to chase after everybody and slap your hands. So if your employees are registered in Higher Guam, then that comes automatically and as a safeguard. Give those letters out to those employees who you're laying off, or reduced in salary. There's a couple things that I want to flag to you because it became issues that they think it's me, Guam Department of Labor, and it's not. Remember, we're stewards of the program. We're given and told what the rules and the regs are to give this money out by USDOL. And a big question is, I want to tell you, the reduction of hours or wages. In order to qualify for my program, you can't just be reduced in wages and still be worked full time. There's been a couple companies who they're requiring their executive staff to work regular hours, but they're reducing their salary. And that's not qualifying for PUA. You have to be both reduced in hours and reduced in salary in order to qualify for my program. And that's something that was told to us, and I have no leeway on. And also, I know there were some questions about the FFCRA. That's not enforced or done by my department. That's done by Patrick Candeletta and the Federal Wage and Hour branch here. But I know that there were some questions on it about whether or not the 80 hours that they initially give at for the Sick Leave Act, whether or not, what was the question? Let me see here. Where they're caring for the kids, whether or not the 80 hours, do they have to sign leave or this or that? No, that's a federal regulation. And as you as an employer are obligated to give your staff the initial 80 hours of sick leave. And they have, so they are entitled for that. And there's no leave signing for that. Now, for the additional 10 weeks, like I said, this is not my program, so I'm not going to take any questions because I don't want to give it wrong information. But since he asked the question, Phil Hagan, it says that if they qualify for the 2/3 salary for the Family Leave Act, can an employee sign for leave for the additional 1/3? And that I can tell you that is up to the employer. Leave is a benefit, not a right. So that is a common misunderstanding by employees that some of them had to stay home because of extensive quarantining or this or that, and they're saying that the employer is forcing them to use their leave. And I said that you're still lucky that your employer is letting you use your leave, because leave is a benefit. It's not a right. And so that's entirely up to the employer whether they want to pay the additional 1/3 to cover their 2/3 salary. And I think I'm just going through here, and the self-employed person, of course, we've covered that extensively, whether they're eligible for PUA. Self-employed or gig workers or employee owners are entitled for PUA if they're not working and getting an income because of COVID, just like their employees. So I'll be glad to take some questions. I hope I didn't bore you too much. There's, you know, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, if you have any.
Yeah, I have a quick question. What if an employee tests positive? What is the responsibility of the employer? Do they have to pay for their testing? Do they have to pay for them to be on leave, or do I mean not on leave, but do they have to pay for them while they're out being quarantined?
That's where the FFCRA comes into play.
Oh, okay.
That's where yes, you have to be obligated to give the 80 hours under the emergencies or whatever, the expanded sick leave, or the Sick Leave Act under the FFCRA. If you go to wage and hour, USDOL wage and hour, and you look under the FFCRA, there is some extensive and very easy to understand information and Q&As about the Sick Leave Act and the Expanded Family Medical Leave Act and the 10 weeks and the 80 hours. Like I said, or you can call Patrick Candeleta's office, the USDOL wage and hour, and I'll give you the number, 473-9177 or 9131. And they will be glad to answer all your questions specifically to your business. And as far as that concerns. So the one thing I want to tell you is that if there was a question with a business, you know, and they were doing their own contact tracing and sending their own employees home, and they're asking me, are they qualified for PUA? And I want to say, yes, they are. But they need to provide proof from a health care provider, not from the employer, meaning either public health can give a letter saying, yes, through contact tracing, this employee was told to stay home until they, you know, for the 14 days and the negative testing. Or if you have a clinic or a doctor that can just say yes through contact tracing and provide evidence that they are required to stay home. Those are the two things that we will require for them to qualify for PUA, not and a letter from the employer, I'm sorry, for that. Any other questions?
Anybody from the media have questions? Really? Nothing else? I'm very surprised at that. Media,
Heidi,
nothing?
don't have no questions?
Yeah, I have. Oh, sorry. Ladies first.
Director, can you on the added LWA? So it's gonna be 6 weeks total. But when do you anticipate the first 3 weeks to be released?
The programming is on its final stages, and it's putting onto our UAT, which is the work test site, for us to ensure that it is working properly. And then once we give it the thumbs up, it's moved into production and then implementation. So I'm just waiting for them to finalize the programming. They said it's going to take a week and a half or so, depending, because it is a separate program into the system. So it's moving very quickly. So I'm hoping that I can get some of this money out in less than My staff is looking at me laughing, saying, please don't give a date. Please don't give a date. You know, in less than a couple of weeks, I think we'll have the money out and going. I feel comfortable with that.
So director, it's gonna be in two batches, like the first 3 weeks first, and then the second batch weeks 4 to 6.
Yes, I anticipate that. What we need to do is, you know, do as much cleaning for fraud, checking the list and paying it out, and then circling around. And once that payment goes out, how much fraud do we feel comfortable enough? Because as I've mentioned before, in the LWA program, Guam is liable for all fraud and overpayments. On the PUA, we're not liable. So I need to be super double careful with the monies that go out for the LWA, because I don't want to go back and tell, you know, the governor that we have millions of dollars in fraud that we have to pay back out of the general fund. So that's why we've been so diligently and working so carefully and trying to get the answers for this. And because we haven't gotten all the answers, FEMA is allowing us to go ahead and move forward with the 300. So yes, we're going to do one batch of 1 through 3 weeks, and then the 4 through 6 will be after everything goes well with the first 1 through 3 weeks. We'll do the 4, 5, and 6 after.
Thank you. Can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
Director, on the identity theft, you said that of the suspected or confirmed fraudulent claims, 30% were specific to identity theft. And then you said like island politicians, prominent Guam businessmen's name were added to that. So how do we?
It's easy to pick out their names when you're scrolling through all the fraud and you see a prominent executive like a Paul Packbeard popping up out of nowhere. And I say, I know that guy. I don't think he's filing for PUA. And I'm saying as prominent as the name as him pop up, and we've called them up and we've asked them if it's okay if we forward their claim to the feds. And you know, because, you know, maybe he has other things that he's hiding or this or that, but you know, giving your name to the feds and your personal identity is not a comfortable thing. So yes, prominent names have been flagged out, but yes, there's a lot of other names that we happen to know, friends of ours or this or that, that have caught our eye. And
so Haiti, please don't use my name in the paper tomorrow, okay? So as Dave, as a small business owner, so I registered my employees in Hire Guam. First March, April, we applied for the PPP, Small Business Act. I kept them employed. Now the second phase or the second lockdown, I did give them furlough so that they could avail themselves of the PUA. I don't know what happens on their side. I'll ask some of them, like, have you guys gotten anything? But what happens? So they go to your hireguam.com website also?
And they would reapply for those weeks. You know, for me, I would give them a second letter that says, I'm hereby furloughing you at this date until further notice. And then they could just upload that onto their claim and then continue filing. And
so now that we're now in PCOR 1.35, I believe, and they are actually back at work. So I went back to the Hire Guam website and I said, at least these 5 employees are back at work. So you get notified of that, correctly? That's what happened.
Your employees should stop filing. You know, when we're dealing with 20,000 to 15,000 claims, it's not hard for us to catch them if they went ahead and tried to do an extra week or 2. We will circle around and catch them, and that's what's called an overpayment. And that's what happened with the PPP program, is that employers, you know, months later got the money and they said, oh, we're going to pay you your salary back at March. and they've already gotten some of PUA payments. So of course they were obligated to pay that money back to us because they got their salary. And that's what happens with an overpayment. That's the typical situation. But yes, and I do encourage you to also, you employers who didn't, those employees that didn't want to come back to work. When you call them up and say, you know, Joe Cruz, I want you to report back to work today, and he says, nah, I don't want to come back to work. You should notify us on this date, Mr. Cruz didn't want to come back to work. And if he continues to file for PUA, he would be disqualified. Because, and you should let him know that. If you don't come back to work, then you are not, you know, I'm going to report it to USDOL and you will not be getting your PUA payments anymore. And if they still choose that. So, and also if you fire somebody, you can let me know that too, because somebody who's fired during the COVID does not qualify for my program. There has to be because of the quarantine, PCOR 1, COVID-related event. And if they are not coming to work because they got their PUA payment and they don't want to come back, or they come back and they're not working very well, and they're, you know, and you have to fire them, that's not a COVID-related reason.
Right, but in my case, I got most people back in the office.
Yeah.
However, there's some, say, field technicians. I need to get work again. I need to ramp up again.
Yeah.
So I've told them stay home. You know, give you another month or so, and that is correct, right?
That is correct. That is correct. So, like I said, the employees that you reported back to work, hopefully they stop filing because it is a federal offense. But I won't catch that immediately because I'm dealing with massive amount of regular frauds and fixing people's claims and doing that. We will circle back with them and it will find out, but that's through auditing and things like that. So yes, I hope that answers your question, Paul. I'll keep my eye if I see you on the list, though.
Hey, any other questions out there? Nobody else? If nobody else has any other questions, I guess we'll call it. I want to thank you, Director, for taking the time out of sounds like a very busy schedule to inform us a little bit and give us a heads up on what's going on. I do not envy your job. So
I want to thank you, and I want to get a gift certificate for a free lunch. You guys owe me.
3 Squares. 3 Squares is open for takeout, and I think Marie is on this chat. So
wait, I have a question. Which Rotary Club were you in previously?
Northern Guam.
Oh,
Way back
Those
when
losers.
I was working for Seiko and with Mike Wilkins. If you guys, you old timers, remember that back in the late '80s.
no, I don't remember that far back.
Thanks. I appreciate you dating me.
So hopefully when things settle down, you can join the club, and there'll be this club.
I'll invite you out to lunch to the first and best Rotary Club of Guam.
I look forward to that, seeing that you pay for it.
The first 3 are free. They need to pay for the rest.
Thank
Cool.
you very much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you again at one of our club meetings. So thanks, Director.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Bye. Any other Rotarians have anything else agenda? If not, then I'm gonna call it 12:50. So thank you all for joining us today. If you have, don't forget to sign up for the 5K online at our website, rotaryclubofguam.org. And if you're interested in buying turkeys, let me know. Just send me a direct message, and we'll put you on the list. Thank you, Martin from Road Club of Quezon City, joining us today. And if you're going to be still on Guam, I'll shoot you an invite for our next meeting.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everyone.
Nothing else. I want to say stay safe, everyone, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everyone. That's what all these people do that.